to share maybe a challenge with you today by asking you a question. How solid are your foundations? I'm certainly not an economist, and neither am I about to make a prophetic revelation, but in my opinion, I think the aftermath of the pandemic that we are traveling through is likely to be longer and perhaps even more painful than what we've currently experienced. My son is a building control officer for a local council, and his job entails visiting building sites to check that the work is being undertaken is up to the necessary standards of safety and quality, and that includes construction but also foundations. The foundations are the starting point of a new build. If the foundations aren't deep enough, then the structure that's built on top of them is possibly going to become unstable. I was fascinated when I read about the Kansai International Airport. It opened in 1994 to serve the city of Osaka in Japan, and it was built on an artificial island out at sea. It was done to alleviate the sound pollution over the city. And apparently the designers, they anticipated it would settle somewhat over the next 50 years, and it was built sufficiently high above sea level to take that into account. However, by 2018, it had actually sunk 11.5 meters. Now that's some settling. It's literally sinking into the sea. Now Jesus, on one occasion, used the principle of solid foundations in one of his famous parables to illustrate the importance of building our lives on what is rock solid rather than on shifting, sinking sand, so that our lives will be able to withstand the inevitable storms and crises that life throws at us. Jesus said in Luke 6, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? I will show you what he is like who comes to me and hears my words and puts them into practice. He is like a man building a house who dug down deep, laid the foundations on rock. When a flood came, the torrent struck the house, but could not shake it, because it was well built. But the one who hears my words and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. The moment the torrent struck that house, it collapsed and its destruction was complete." So Jesus tells the story of two men who wanted to build their own house. Now in my imagination, I picture them having pretty much the same resources and materials. I get the impression they were building in the same vicinity because the storm hit them both. But that's where the similarity between these two men ends. Jesus said that one was wise and the other was foolish, which is hardly complimentary, really. The wise man dug down deep and found a foundation on rock. The foolish man cut corners, maybe to save time and money, perhaps to have a larger house, maybe to have a nice riverside view, I don't know. But a storm hits both properties, and the wise man's house stood firm, whereas the foolish man's property was swept away. It's a graphic little story, but what has it got to do with us today? Well, I want to suggest maybe that 2020 will mark the year that many people's investments, their hopes, their dreams, perhaps even their lives were broken or washed away by this invisible virus. Perhaps there was little that could be done to fight the virus from a health point of view. And there's been no effective treatment for serious cases up till now. There's no medical cure or vaccine up to this point in time. But it's not just physical health that has been devastated by this virus. Economies are swaying under the repercussions of people unable to work. Many people have or will have lost their jobs. Recession and unemployment are already in evidence. In the UK, the government have stepped in to underwrite many people's salary, but it's at a colossal cost, which will have to be repaid somewhere down the line. Wealthy people have lost fortunes on the stock market as it's crashed. Many people may be becoming bankrupt overnight. Education has been put on hold. Rights and freedoms of movement have been restricted in a way that we've never experienced before. And sadly, tens of thousands of people have died. Their families left bereft. Some may be left alone in this world. The love of their lives snatched away from them, and they were unable maybe even to say goodbye, or in life, or even after death. Unexpected, premature floods of grief have overwhelmed thousands and thousands of families. And I would suggest that the foundations which many people have been building their lives upon have just crumbled. And maybe now they're in turmoil and anxiety and fear for their future. For many people, their lives and their future prospects are going to be in ruins when this season is over, if it's not already in ruin. So, is there any hope for the future? It will be dependent on the foundations on which they've built their lives. If we've been building on shifting sand of stock market speculation or national economy, or maybe even the shallow topsoil of a good job or a nice house or a good education, of family and friends, then maybe this season is going to prove catastrophic. Jesus was making a point about the foundations on which we build our lives. And if we're to come through this dark season stronger, if we are going to have hope and comfort, security in the heartache and chaos and loss and carnage of this invisible storm, then I'd suggest that we need to have a solid spiritual foundation. And put simply, Jesus is saying that he and his word are the only guaranteed rock-solid foundation to build our lives upon. We need to put our trust in him to become our Saviour. And then we need to continue to walk in trust and obedience to his word through the storms of life, because he is also our helper. So my prayer is that we build our lives on Jesus. On Christ, the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. Pray that God will bless you this coming week, and I look forward to seeing you again. God bless you.